Department and city government fail to adequately protect and serve the people of Louisville.
LMPD for so many years has terrorized black people.
What happened to me should never have happened in the first place.
This conduct is unacceptable.
It's heartbreaking to know that everything you've been saying from day one has to be said again.
It's not only an uphill battle, it's an uphill battle with a 1,000-pound boulder on your shoulder.
Our city has wounds that have not yet healed.
I'm glad that people hopefully will finally be made aware of how deep the problems run.
Louisville's at a pivotal moment in what is soon to be its history.
Let your voice be a part of the change.
Unacceptable, heartbreaking, long-standing dysfunction.
They're the words that stick out from a newly released 2-year federal investigation into Louisville's police force. The results out today saying LMPD racially discriminates, uses excessive force, and that officers broke laws they were to uphold. A new day is on the way for policing in Louisville, and it comes after the Department of Justice Wednesday laid out the dark days in LMPD's past.
This conduct is unacceptable. It is heartbreaking. It erodes the community trust.
The near 90-page report from the DOJ put on paper what many in the public complained about for years. In fact, almost every point in the executive summary ties back to a headline.
Mama, they taking me out the vehicle.
Harassing police stops.
There's somebody in there dead?
Bad search warrants. Excessive force.
Instead, LMPD has practiced an extreme, misdirected, and counterproductive style of policing.
The DOJ saying LMPD unlawfully discriminates against black people in its enforcement.
You can't stop the revolution!
Violated the rights of people engaged in free speech, and that officers also discriminated against those with behavioral health disabilities.
These findings are not based on any one incident or event. They turn on evidence showing long-standing dysfunction at LMPD.
The big takeaway, that LMPD had a pattern and practice of violating the public's civil rights.
I'm sorry. You deserved better.
While the problems didn't fall in new Mayor Craig Greenberg's time in office, they're now his to fix.
The chief and I and our entire teams will do everything possible and everything necessary to correct the mistakes of the past and heal the wounds they've left in our community.
The report including 36 changes for LMPD, some already underway, like the new accountability wing of the department, which will also focus on better training.
Our officers are committed to upholding the Constitution with honor and distinction. Their important duties to ensure public safety.
LMPD will enter into a consent decree next, a mandated contract with the federal government for police reform. And while this agreement marks a new chapter in LMPD's history, this investigation dug into every page of the previous chapter.
WDRB's Travis Ragsdale shows us how we got here.
The city of Louisville. Under the microscope of the Department of Justice. It began reviewing LMPD's use of force, history of unconstitutional traffic stops, searches and seizures, and search warrants on people's homes. But DOJ is looking much further back than just Breonna Taylor. August 9th, 2018. On the side of the road in the city's West End. A controversial traffic stop. 18-year-old Tayon Lee frisked and handcuffed. A judge ruled this was a violation of his constitutional rights. In 2018 and 2019, there were 24 shootings that involved LMPD officers in some form or fashion. But Breonna Taylor is what sparked this investigation. March 13th, 2020, Taylor's Louisville apartment is raided. By May 20th, the investigation into her death was turned over to the FBI. May 28th, the first night of protests in Louisville, starts after the city released the 911 call from Taylor's boyfriend, Kenneth Walker.
Somebody kicked in the door inside my girlfriend.
June 1st, David McAtee is killed in a shooting in West Louisville by members of the Kentucky National Guard after LMPD officer Katie Cruz fired pepper balls into a restaurant. Later that same day, Police Chief Steve Conrad was fired. The next several months saw nearly nightly protests in downtown Louisville. September 23, 2020, former detective Brett Hankison is indicted after prosecutors say he fired blindly into Taylor's apartment. January 19, 2021, Erica Shields is sworn in as LMPD's new chief of police and promises change. On April 26, 2021, Attorney General Merrick Garland announces the Patterns and Practices investigation into LMPD.
Opening a civil investigation into the Louisville, Jefferson County Metro government.
Since then, the Department of Justice has been in Louisville studying LMPD and interviewing dozens of people. On March 3, 2022, Hankinson was acquitted on state charges of wanton endangerment. But then on August 4th, 4 LMPD officers, including Hankinson, were charged with federal crimes for their role in the raid. And on October 11th, Katie Cruz pleaded guilty to federal civil rights charges for firing pepper balls that led to the death of David McAtee. And now, DOJ's watchful eye will be even more focused on the city and LMPD.
Breonna Taylor's mother says she has been waiting 3 years for this day. She talked about how she felt when Attorney General Merrick Garland brought up the warrant that led to her daughter's death.
Heartbreak all over again, because I knew that to begin with. I said that from the very beginning. We've asked that question 100 times over and over.
So many layers to the problems that was released and examined today. The Department of Justice also specifically addressed the illegal traffic stop of Tayon Lee. 2018, an officer put him in handcuffs for more than minutes for a drug search with a canine for a wide right turn. This was one of several harassing police stops as the department started hyper-policing in poor communities, saying that it was looking for drugs and guns. Well, the report released today says a black person has a 50% higher chance of being searched by LMPD than a white person.
I'm glad that the DOJ, spoke up and said what we've all been saying for years. Everything that the community knew, finally someone else investigated, and exposed it all.
Last year, a federal judge ruled that the officer violated Lee's constitutional rights during that traffic stop. This investigation didn't just cover 2020 with Breonna Taylor. It spanned several years of wrongdoing with LMPD. And WDRB's Conrad DeLuce spoke to 2 victims of bad policing who are still rebuilding their lives from it.
That's right, they are. One woman sexually assaulted by an officer, another man wrongfully arrested and jailed. Just 2 of those violated by the actions of LMPD officers. May 28, 2017 was life-changing for Tajon Ferguson. Ferguson was meeting someone to sell an Xbox. Instead, he was accused by police of stealing it, despite having the receipt.
I even had evidence to show you that I didn't do it, and they still took me to jail.
He spent 10 months in jail for a crime he did not commit. In the 90-page DOJ report, one sentence stood out, that LMPD engages in a pattern or practice of conduct that deprives people of their rights.
Yeah, they should have come to that conclusion a long time ago.
Another conclusion in the document?
I'm glad that some acknowledgement of the mishandling of sexual assault cases.
Heather Richards was the first woman to say she had been raped by Officer Pablo Cano. At least 4 others came forward.
The rapist had complete power and control and, government-issued weapons.
When she spoke to LMPD investigators, Richards says she faced an 8-hour interrogation and felt they didn't take her claims seriously.
It's not only an uphill battle, it's an uphill battle with a 1,000-pound boulder on your shoulders.
Cano did eventually confess to having non-consensual sex with 5 women. Richard says this report is too little, too late for her, but
I'm glad that people hopefully will finally be made aware of how deep the problems run.
As for Ferguson, he received a small payout from the city after his wrongful arrest and is still working to pick up the pieces of his own life.
But the most important thing is to not let that define you.
The $176,000 settlement for Ferguson is just a fraction of the more than $40 million paid out for police misconduct since 2017. With photojournalist Greg Shapker, Conroy Deluche, WDRB News.
$40 million. All right. Thanks, Conroy. One of the big names scrutinized in this DOJ report is former LMPD Chief Steve Conrad. The investigation was said to look back 5 years and entirely while he was at the helm of the department. Follow this story at 10:30. What the DOJ says that Conrad repeatedly didn't do. And we'll also tell you what Attorney General Merrick Garland said to the current LMPD officers.
And WDRB has brought you stories over the last several years involving LMPD settlements, shootings, and stops gone wrong. We will continue to follow along and investigate as recommendations are put in place. For all our coverage on LMPD and today's DOJ announcement, go to our website, WDRB.com.
Mark Weinberg's WDRB weather forecast has the seal of approval from the American Meteorological Society.
Close to 80 earlier this week, close in the 30s, not close to 30, in the 30s later this week. What a swing.
And even I think in the next 7 days, we are going to see some snow showers in the area. So winter is definitely not done for our area. Waking up this morning, you know, I think you could really feel that change from what we saw earlier in the week. As we look around our area, a couple of sprinkles right now as we look towards around Tell City and Perry County, but that's really about it. And honestly, it's just struggling in a very, very, very dry atmosphere. Tonight we're going to see intermittent clouds. There'll be partly cloudy periods. There'll be some mostly clear. But as we look at our temperatures, we're currently sitting on the cool side at 46 degrees with an east-northeast wind at 5 miles an hour. I think the most important thing you note as you look at this is the dew point's exceptionally low, exceptionally low. It is the defender against showers. And advanced track really confirms a couple things. Partly cloudy skies and cool temperatures. The rain's just not going to work out tonight. So I think we'll probably bottom out in the neighborhood of around 35, 36 degrees. I don't think we're going to get any frost here in Louisville. 3 a.m. we're 39. And I've got your day starting off partly cloudy at 36. We are going to be bringing rain back into the area tomorrow. Let's time out when it's most likely in your location. In 10 minutes.
All right, Mark, we'll see you soon. Thanks. The number of people still in the dark after Friday's huge windstorm continues to fall as LG&E works to restore the power. Right now, 1,800 outages are still reported. LG&E had anticipated power being restored across the area by 11 o'clock tonight, so that's still about 45 minutes for the people in the dark. The company says Friday's storm is one of the top 3 most damaging weather events in the last 20 years. LG&E says it downed more than 3,000 wires and broke more than 700 utility poles. At the peak, more than 300,000 customers were in.
Still a lot of bubbles on that map.
Yeah.
All right. A rose by any other name smells just as sweet, but how does a rose from a celebrity smell?
Come here, rude boy, boy, can you get it up? Come here, rude boy, boy, is you big enough?
The Kentucky nursing home where a viral video got not 1, but 2 A-listers sending them flowers. Plus.
So everything that we do, the moment you walk in to the moment that you leave, is an honoring of the state.
A new spot is coming to Whiskey Row this summer. We'll take you through the 5 floors of fun at number 15. Downtown Louisville is about to have a new bourbon spot unlike any other.
WDRB's Molly Jett takes us on a behind-the-scenes tour of the building.
Soon when you visit Louisville's Whiskey Row, you'll be able to try a brand new social hall, number 15. You'll enter on West Main Street, and then you'll have 5 floors to explore.
In between O'Shea's and Old Forester,
We're combining the best things of the Bluegrass State all into one roof.
you'll soon find all things Kentucky.
We're all about celebrating states. Number 15, Kentucky being the 15th state. And what better place to do it than in this old W.L. Weller building back in the 1880s?
Spencer Franck is with number 15. He says the space is a celebration of Kentucky bourbon, beer, and music. Right now, it's just wood and concrete, but pretty soon, it'll be something special.
Everything that we do, the moment you walk in to the moment that you leave, is an honoring of the state.
Honoring the state with 3 bars, live music, and Kentucky brands.
That sounds awesome. I think that having the local charm and things that are just Kentucky would be great.
Southern California loves Whiskey Row's and the mom and pop shops around it.
I absolutely would come back. Everybody's been so friendly, and it's just been such a wonderful, I don't want to say quiet, but it's been very friendly and a change of pace from Southern California for sure.
Tourists and all of Kentuckiana will be able to enjoy a main stage with live music, a balcony bar overlooking Main Street, and a sports bar off Washington Street. The project costing about $14 million.
We're excited to invest not only in the current Louisville, but also the future in the direction of the city. And we feel like this is just the beginning, and we feel like we're a big part of that growth.
Number 15 is scheduled to open sometime this spring. As of now, it won't cost to enter, but in the future, they could host ticketed events. In downtown Louisville, with photojournalist Josh Horton, I'm Molly Jett, WDRB News.
It's a big space, too. Well, a Southern Indiana furniture maker could have a new owner this summer.
H&I Corporation just announced a $485 million deal to buy Kimball International. Kimball has made furniture for more than 70 years. 1,600 employees work in Indiana. It's based in Jasper and has a factory in Salem. Another day of testimony from Federal Reserve Chair Jerome Powell, but today didn't make as much of an impact on Wall Street. Stocks bounced up and down and then ended the day mixed. The Dow lost 58 points to close at 32,798. The Nasdaq picked up 45 to close at 11,576.
So I think we are going to see rain tomorrow. I don't think it rains all day, but rain's a high likelihood. And I want to talk about when you should expect that rain in your location. Next.
While the DOJ outlined problems within LMPD, they also talked about the good work being done by officers within the department.
Attorney General Merrick Garland spoke directly to current officers and said leadership within the city and LMPD needs to be there for them.
To the officers of LMPD, the Justice Department is acutely aware of the integral role that law enforcement officers play in our society and the dangers you face to keep your community safe. So it is imperative that your police department sets you up for success. Your department needs to provide you with clear policies and consistent training.
And that training and other changes within the department could cost between $8 and $10 million a year. That's according to a 2021 report to Metro Council. An IU professor who police reform says consent decrees from the federal government may not be as effective in the big picture.
There's a real question about whether these professional monitors who go from police department to police department, they bid on these contracts, they make millions of dollars. Are they truly independent, and what are they doing? What I've found is that they are trying to hyper-focus attention on low-level officers and take the blame away from leadership, decisions, and bigger policies.
And Nesbitt says several city police departments have gone through consent decrees deemed successful, then had to go through the process all over again.
In its investigation, the DOJ looked at cases from 2016 to 2021 with Steve Conrad led at the LMPD. A WDRB investigative reporter Valerie Chen combed through the nearly 90-page report and found the DOJ was critical of the former chief.
Former LMPD Chief Steve Conrad is mentioned 7 times in the Department of Justice report. He was the LMPD chief from 2012 to 2020. The report found that LMPD does not consistently investigate potential misconduct. In multiple cases, Chief Conrad initiated investigations only after incidents received media attention, long after the civilians involved had objected to their treatment.
Our investigation was not focused on isolated incidents. What we uncovered was a pattern and practices that run afoul of the Constitution and federal law.
The report talked about residents calling Viper officers jump out boys for their aggressive tactics. LMPD said the Viper unit was used to find the city's most violent criminals. After protesters demanded an end to that unit, in 2015, LMPD rebranded the Viper unit as a 9th Mobile Division. Conrad said 9th Mobile had a similar mission to focus in on the small number of people who are committing the most violent crimes, the worst of the worst. The report says LMPD pressured officers and supervisors in 9th Mobile to generate stats like stops and arrests, especially in predominantly black neighborhoods. The DOJ says neither Chief Conrad nor 9th Mobile leaders analyzed enforcement activities for signs of discrimination.
Mama, they taking me out the vehicle.
we're allowed to pat you down for weapons.
This high-profile 2018 traffic stop of a black teen, Taeon Lee, was mentioned in the DOJ report. The report cited Metro Council holding a hearing in April 2019 where Conrad defended LMPD practices. But then the report says Conrad opened an internal investigation into 9th Mobile officers for failing to document traffic stops.
Discriminated against black people through unjustified stops, searches, and arrests. The police used excessive force, subjecting people to unlawful strikes, tasings, and canine bites.
The report says in 2019, Chief Conrad admitted that more than 90% of stops recovered no contraband and that statistically, traffic stops are not a particularly effective tool for addressing violent crime. At the press conference, WDRB asked about how much responsibility former Chief Conrad had for the wrongdoing, since it was under his leadership. Here's the DOJ's response.
The Justice Department wants to recognize the current mayor and the current chief and the former mayor and the former chief for their cooperation at every stage of our investigation. What you see here now are us standing with the current leadership of this great city. And again, we are focused on no particular individual. This is a civil investigation that is focused on improving and strengthening the LMPD.
WDRB also tried reaching Conrad for comment at the last number we had for him.
I'm sorry, the person you were trying to reach has a voicemail box that has not been set up yet. Please try your call again later.
Valerie Chin, WDRB News.
Well, perhaps the two biggest LMPD scandals in recent years has been the police killing of Breonna Taylor and the sexual abuse in the Explorer mentoring program. And that was another key point in this DOJ investigation. It found that LMPD did not properly investigate its own officers accused of sexual assault and domestic violence, and that was a pattern. The Explorer program was shut down in 2017 after several officers were accused of having sexual relationships with teens in the program for years. 3 officers were convicted in federal court on sex crimes. An investigation into the allegations, when they first surfaced, found that LMPD made mistakes and didn't look for criminal conduct or see if that abuse was widespread. In 2021, the city settled with 7 of the teen victims for more than $3 million. A federal investigation into the program is still ongoing.
Louisville Metro Councilman Anthony Piagentini says he's not surprised by the outcome of the report, but he says former Chief Steve Conrad and former Mayor Greg Fisher should be held accountable. He was surprised to hear the DOJ thank them.
Well, the fact that they were even mentioned in a remotely positive light was galling to me. And frankly, I don't know why the Department of Justice is not looking at criminal violations against our former mayor and our former police chief.
Well, part of the reason the DOJ thanked former Mayor Fisher is the police reforms that started at the end of his administration. The former mayor released a statement today, first mentioning Breonna Taylor and then saying, quote, "Today is another important inflection point to honor the pain of 2020 by further acknowledging and continuing to act on the fact that our community deserves a new era of public safety." And as shown by the improvements since 2020, our officers have the ability to see it through with focus, dedication, resources, and in partnership with the community. Many city and state leaders have responded to today's announcement. You can see those statements on our website, WDRB.com.
Mark Weinberg's WDRB weather forecast has the seal of approval from the American Meteorological Society.
Spring will be here in a few weeks, but it is still winter and it is starting to feel like it.
I mean, the crazy thing is it was 78 degrees on Monday, and I think we've got a legitimate shot on Friday of seeing some flurries and some snow showers in the next 7 days. 6 of the next 7 days have high temperatures in the 40s.
Get out of here.
Okay, I will, but it is going to get a lot colder. You cannot escape that. You can see we still have a flood warning here. This is for the East Fork of the White River. It has definitely come down, notably near Seymour, near Rivervale. We are still in flood stage. In this period, the crest will be 25.4 at 1 a.m., but you can see dropping out of flood stage early Saturday and dropping out of action stage in the afternoon on Sunday, without any significant rain in the next 7 days, and I don't think we're going to see any. It should continue to drop. John Richards sent this picture, and the title was right, John. Wow. And I want to show you just a stunning sunrise picture this morning. Stephanie Wood captured this out of Bardstown. The colors just rippling across the sky. The contrast, the change in color from near the horizon to the top was stunning. I shared this on my Facebook page earlier, and Stephanie, this was worth 3,000 likes. Your picture was phenomenal. There are a couple of sprinkles right now near Meade and Harrison County. Can any of these get towards Louisville? You know, I think it's very unlikely. I think it's unlikely because our dew points are so low, but I can't rule out a quick spit on as that comes through. High today was 51 degrees. Remember when we look at the 7-day, the normal. I'll come back to this, but 55 is the normal right now. Looking at our numbers, Louisville 46 degrees, east-northeast wind 5 miles an hour. Dew points pretty low. Around our area, we are cool. We're definitely looking at some chilly readings here, especially when you consider where we had been in February and in January. We've got widespread low 40s. We go to Fairdale and we're 42 degrees. I mentioned this yesterday. St. Matthews again reporting. Why wasn't it reporting? Friday, power out. And it was out until yesterday when we finally got the site back. 45 degrees in Seymour. Now, as we look across the country, you definitely can see this massive temperature contrast. You go to the northern part of the country and you have wind chills that are below zero still. And I think it would be fair to state, Mark, you know, we've seen this. We saw this multiple times actually as we went through the winter, and every single time the high pressure was too strong. But what you will notice is it is weaker and it is notably further south. And as these lows come across the country, it is a different story now as they will funnel cold air down the Rockies into our area. Tomorrow, if you're west of I-65, a couple showers in the late afternoon. For Louisville, it's probably going to be near about 8, 9 o'clock. The rain moves in. Doesn't last ultra long. But once we go into Friday, notice these winds come up. Data suggests we can do some winds near 40. I'm not going to pretend they're what we saw last week. I don't even think it's worth a wind advisory, but I think it falls a little bit short of that. It's still a breezy afternoon. Saturday, you'll notice temperatures are cool. A lot of clouds. Rain and maybe a few mixed showers would come in Saturday night into Sunday. And then with that system cutting underneath, it has really chilly air with it. Data doesn't take us out of the 30s on Monday, and you see snow showers in the forecast. Do I think that's real? I do. Tonight we're down at a low of 36 degrees under partly cloudy skies. So tomorrow during the day I've got a 20%, but remember in the evening that's going to go to a 60% chance. Breezy on Friday at 49. Clocks go forward an hour before you go to bed Saturday night. Sunday's got some rain in there and snow showers on Monday. Some locations may not get out of the 30s.
All right, Mark, we'll check back with you soon. A missing Southern Indiana teenager reunited with her father tonight, where police found her.
Plus, the Kentucky Senate will hold an impeachment trial for the first time in more than a century over nude photos. What a top prosecutor is accused of doing with the photos.
And the 3 things Jeff Brom's demanding more than anything else from Cardinal football this year. We'll tell you in sports.